Alright class, let's talk about parallel lines and transversals. Parallel lines are basically lines that do not intersect, but also too, make sure you understand that they're coplanar lines. So that means they got to be on the same plane. Excuse me. So for here, and this is important, make sure you guys know what this means. This says line PQ is parallel to line RS. I'll make sure in class you guys know that that symbol means parallel. These arrows mean that these lines here, which are PQ and RS, are parallel to each other. It's very important. And obviously all this is in the same plane, which is flat, and the plane can actually extend indefinitely, so we're good here. So make sure you understand that the symbol of parallel lines is basically the double bars or the vertical bars, and that those little arrows mean that those lines are parallel. Very important. Alright, let's move on to the next slide. Here is skew lines. Skew lines do not intersect, but they're not coplanar. So the only way you can find skew lines is some kind of 3D model like this, which is a cube. So it's real simple. As long as the two lines are not on the same plane and do not appear to intersect, they're skew. So this problem here, they basically, want you to name all the planes. Remember, a plane is just any 3 points not on the same line. So the top plane is FGB. This plane right here that I'm highlighting, don't forget, let's say this one here. Hopefully I can be steady with this. Yeah, that plane right there could be called plane ABC or plane ADC. And what's parallel here? AB is parallel to DC, those segments, and AD is parallel with BC. Those are also parallel. Now what's skew to this? Skew to AD would be, just to give you an idea, would be GH, because GH is all the way back here. So it's not in the plane of AD, and it doesn't appear to intersect, so we're good. Alright, let's move on to the next slide. Alright, transversal. Transversal is very easy, don't complicate this. All it's saying is that a line that intersects two or more lines in a plane at different points is called a transversal. So this line T is a transversal because it intersects at N and at line M at two different points. So in other words, it can't just intersect at the same point. It can't do this. So technically none of these lines here are transversals because they intersect at that point. Just to give you an idea. Let's erase that. Also too, the lines that the transversal intersects need not be parallel. Like these lines appear to be parallel, but we don't know for sure. They gotta have something like this, a little arrow here. Yeah, and this is pretty, right? But this is basically the idea, like a little arrow here, little arrow there. That's just indicating these lines are parallel. If it's not there, you can't assume they're parallel, even if they look it. Remember, you need markings. Just like with congruency, with perpendicular, you need a box. For congruency, you need the little tags or little arcs for the angles, or the tick marks for the segments. All right, let's move on. Now, this here is just all the different types of angles, angle pairs that can be made with two lines and a transversal. Now here all you got to do is name them. We're not trying to find any angle measures or anything like that. So the reality is the easiest way to do this is to basically have this as a roadmap while you're doing the classwork. So for example, exterior angles is easy. It's on the outside of the two lines. So it's 1, 2, 8, and 7. Interior is what's inside. So we got 3, 4, 5, and 6. Consecutive angles are basically, actually consecutive can be called same side interior. It's the same thing. It just means that consecutive interior means they're inside of the two lines and they come one right after the other. Sorry, so like 4 and 5 and 3 and 6. Don't forget, 4 and 3 aren't consecutive interior, even though they do come one after the other, but these are actually considered linear pair. Don't forget, 4 and 3 is linear pair because they make a straight angle, so those are not consecutive interior. Or you can also call 4 and 3 supplementary. Alright, alternate exterior. That just alternate means if one's on the left, the other one's on the right. So it has to be on the outside of the two lines. So we got 1 and 7, 2 and 8. Alternate interior, alternate again, left, one's right. And you got to make sure they're inside. So we got 4 and 6, 3 and 5. Alright, let's look at this. I like this here. They just want to know which one got it right. Which one's are naming the alternate interior angles in the figure at the right. One of the angles must be angle 4. So Juanita says 4 with 9. 4 with 9, that is correct. These are the two lines here, right here. So these are the two lines here, and technically this is the transversal. So 4 and 9 works. Alright, and what about 4 and 6? 4 and 6 also works, because now this is the transversal, and these are the two lines. Yeah, that works. Now let's see what Eric. Why is Eric wrong? Oh, because he put 4 and 10. Yeah, they're still interior, but they're not alternate. Alternate of 4 would be 9. 4 and 10 is actually consecutive interior, so that's wrong. 4 and 5 again. It's still inside this line and this line, but they're consecutive. They're not alternate. So that's why Eric is wrong and Juanita's right. All right, next slide. Oops, nothing's here. Let me see. Oh, here we go. That's what I was looking for. All right. So here, this is just some guided practice for you. I'll do these real quick. It says here, identify the pairs of lines to which each line is a transversal. So P is here. So if P is the transversal, don't forget this means that they can continue. So P actually will intersect with R, and it'll eventually intersect with Q. So for 7, it'll be Q and R, those two lines. For 8, if it's actually line R is a transversal, so it intersects with line T and with line Q at two separate points. So if the answer for 8 is line Q and T. And if you want to, you can put P as well, because theoretically it should continue to go. All right, let's look at this. 11 through 14. Identify each pair of angles as alternate interior, alternate exterior, corresponding or consecutive interior angles. All right, 7 and 10, where's that at? 7 and 10, they're inside these two lines. They're on alternate sides of the transversal, so that's alternate interior. What about 1 and 5? 1's here, 5's here. 1's basically inside, 5 is inside, 1's outside of the two lines. They're on the same side, and they're they're basically in the same spot when you think about it. So they correspond to each other. So that's corresponding. 4 and 6. 4 and 6 are inside these two lines, and they're in consecutive, or they're on the same side. So that's consecutive right there. 8 and 1. 8 and 1, okay. This is a transversal. These are the two lines. 8 and 1 are both outside the two lines, and they're on alternate sides of the transversal. So that's going to be alternate exterior. All right, here. What do we got here? It says name the transversal that forms each pair of angles. Then identify the special name for that angle pair. Okay, it's basically the same thing as this, but now they want us to name the transversal too. So 3 and 10. 3 and 10 is transversal is line P, and 3 and 10 are consecutive interior because they're inside lines L and M, and they're on the same side. All right, 2 and 12. 2 and 12 are outside of line L and M, and their transversals again P. So 2 and 12 is alternate exterior. Why? Because 2 is on the right of the transversal, which is line P, and 12 is on the left. 8 and 14. 8 and 14, its transversal is different. It's Q, but it's still inside of lines L and M. So then 8 and 14 are alternate interior. Why is it alternate? Because one's on the left, one's on the right. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.